All right, so I put up this question on Twitter here, and I actually got some pretty good responses. I'm really excited to look through this. Sometimes in life, you need to take a stand and have a take. One side or another, none of this somewhere in the middle nonsense. I'm sick of it. All right, we don't need to do, oh, well, maybe. No. Take a stand on something. All right, not enough people in this community take a hard stand on things. So my question was, what's your hottest Lorcana take? It could be controversial or silly. Mine is simple. Something needs to happen with a whole new world, and that's it. I think a whole new world is like, I don't think you should be able to do what that card allows up to 4 times in the game. Now, people say, oh, well, if you draw it, then it's sacky. Sure, but, like, it won't change the game enough firing off once. Like, maybe it'll get you your pieces, but, like, think of Jafar, right? You only get that big Jafar effect once. You're refilling your hand once while refilling your opponent's hand. It's not, like, the big, like, sacky card you think it is. I just don't think you should be able to do that 4 times in the game. But let's see what everyone else had to say. Traverse Tavern, Rise of the Floodborn had an enjoyable competitive meta. See, the problem is it all depends on who you talk to. It all depends on who you talk. Like, the issue with this is, like, if you're someone who was all for playing one of, like, the 2 or 3 best decks, then sure, maybe the Ruby Amethyst mirror was fun. Steel Song or Steel Flute was obviously, like, a good deck that was, I don't know, maybe was fun. But, like, it all depends on who you talk to. I personally, once this format, Rise of the Floodborn format, kind of got cracked, and we realized that Ruby Amethyst was a tier 0 mega threat, I think it became much less fun. Honestly. All right, we have the first missed the assignment. I didn't really miss the assignment, but you know, we're too busy focused on my take here. That limits are bad, bans are good. Their take is that limits are bad. All right, I guess this is their own take. My take and your take is limits are bad, bans are good. If a whole new world is deemed a problem, just be rid of it rather than make games super swingy, creating a who drew their limited card situations. I agree that certain cards, if they are limited, are sacky. I just don't think a whole new world is one of those cards. Especially because there is a lot of draw power in this game. So, like, drawing it, again, my issue isn't so much, like, what it does. It's the fact that you can do it up to 4 times in the game. But at the same time, with certain cards, I do agree. It's like, you need to be careful about what you are limiting or what you're banning if they're going to go that direction. Because, yeah, it can turn into, like, a sacky mess. Hot take. See, you know that a take is about to be scorching hot when they start with hot take. Locations will be the future, and the strongest decks will run them. I mean, that's not a hot take. Like, locations are, like, a... they're like a core mechanic in the game. They're not just like this gimmicky thing. They were always going to be part of it, and they're always going to be part of it moving forward, especially as they get more powerful. Mike Mullins says, until we know the hand smoothing and randomization algorithm, take everything on Pixelborn with a grain of salt. I 100% agree. I think that we are so reliant on Pixelborn statistics, which is kind of fair because, like, there's not a ton of actual stats to go about. There's kind of these sort of more locally centered, you know, tournaments that might pull maybe 100 people or so, but, like, there's no sanctioned tournaments yet, so we can only take these stats with a grain of salt. And obviously Pixelborn, as great of a service as it is, isn't perfect. So, like, any Pixelborn stat that you get, you have to take with a grain of salt. I do agree with this 100%. John Vincent. My hot take is Ruby Amethyst isn't nearly the difficult deck to go against people make it out to be. It takes patience and knowing when to play cards to beat. Like, yes, technically that's true, and you can say that about any deck, but the problem is, like, the problem with Ruby Amethyst, at least as it was last format, is, like, if you're I feel like you get punished for being patient, because if you're patient, once they kind of hit that, like, turn 5 threshold, it's removal piece after removal piece after removal piece. So you kind of don't have a choice but to play a little aggressive, but then, like, you're sort of exhausting all your resources. Like, that's what makes Ruby Amethyst so good, is that its grind game is the best in the game. At least it was last format. You know, like, is it beatable? Sure, but there's a reason why, like, in, like, any tournament, which, again, I just said, like, you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, whether it be these local tournaments or Pixelborn, there's still a reason why it was, like, by far the most represented deck in their top cuts. Lore burners say, mill decks are good in all games. We need better mill strats in Lorcana. This has to be a troll, right? This might be the first, like, actual hot take we've seen. I'm gonna pretend they're serious. This might be the first actual hot take we've seen. Mill sucks. I hate mill. Nothing about mill is fun. Except, is it even fun for the person who's milling? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, this is so far the hottest take in this post for sure. Lorcana Kid 626. Ruby Amethyst is overrated and content creators are overhyped the ceiling. What are you talking about? I respect the hot take. I respect, don't get me wrong, I respect the hot take, but, like, it's just flat out wrong. Content creators did not overhype how good this deck was. The results speak for themselves. It's very obviously good. Like, very obviously good. Now, is it as strong anymore? Probably not, but it's still very good, and it was incredible in Rise of the Floodborn format. No, content creators did not overhype its ceiling, but I will say this is a good hot take, though. You understood the assignment. Here we go. At the risk of sounding like I'm just trying to be a contrarian against me, essentially, my hot take is that the game is fine as is. At this time, it doesn't need any rule changes, ban, restricted lists, sideboards, or anything like that. For now, it's fine. It only needs time to breathe for now. Yes, I agree that right this second, it doesn't need all that, and, you know, it's not going to get all that, but, like, stuff like ban and restricted lists, and everyone knows my opinion on sideboards and things like that, like, it's going to need that stuff eventually. Yes, I agree. Let the game breathe for now. Let it develop, and don't make any hasty decisions. But, like, again, a year down the line, that's gonna change. Not enough Snow Queen waifu cards. Nerd Knight, you're playing a dangerous game with this community. I'm just telling you right now. You're playing a dangerous game with this community. You know, this ain't the Magic or Card Fight Vanguard community you're dealing with. You know, people in this community might not get this. A lot do, but, you know, just, you're playing a dangerous game. I respect it, though. Brando says, gonna piggyback here, A Whole New World isn't that great. Oh, we got a Scorcher. Getting a new hand for yourself is great, but I don't think it's worth giving your opponent a new hand as well. Remember, you get another chance at fun card, whatever that means, at fun cards, but so is your opponent. I'm not a fan. So the issue here is, obviously the drawback with A Whole New World is that your opponent also gets a new hand, but, like, the timing of playing the card matters too, because if you're at a point where you're only discarding 2 cards and drawing 7 more, like, you've used value in your hand already to kind of further your game state, right? Obviously, we can't really know what our opponent has. And if you want to play the gambling game of, oh, we got rid of their really good cards in the Whole New World and now they have to draw 7 more, and it completely ruined their strategy, fine. Or if you flip it and reverse it, where it's like, oh, we gave them everything they need now. Well, you also hopefully got everything you needed too, and especially with cards like Jafar in the format, like it's good. The card, it's a very good card. It's an insane card. The fact that it's a song makes it insane. I don't think it is good. This is a hot take because everyone thinks A Whole New World is pretty busted. So I think it's a really, really good hot take. I just disagree. Oh, here we go. Lorcana Finance. Let's see the Stonks post. I really don't know how controversial it is, but enchanted printing should be on a reserve list. And I'm not convinced legendary cards should be reprinted either. Lorcana Finance, I have some bad news for you. This isn't a Black Lotus situation. You know, like, we're going to see reprints, especially if this game has rotation. And there isn't a card that needs to be on a reserve. Like, enchanted printing should be on a reserve list. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, just the enchanted versions can't be played? Or like, I don't know. I disagree with every single thing in this post. Like, here we go. Here's some comments. Oh my gosh, people popped off on this. Okay, so now we need to go through. Okay, Lorcana Finance, I take it all back. It's a good hot take because it kind of triggered some people, and this got some responses. So now I didn't even read through this. So what are people saying? I think people being forced to spend $200 on 4 Beasts of Robin Hood to play Steel is not cool. Smile. Who is forcing you? There are other options. Oh. This is the Seto Kaiba take. If there's no way to make a competitive deck without those cards, then banning or restrictions should be implemented. No. Alright, Lorcana. I need to know how serious you are. Because, again, this is also... These takes are scorching right now. This is the Seto Kaiba take. Too expensive, oh well, get over it. There are other options. Listen... There's other options. There's a reason why Sad Beast is $50. It's because the card's really good. Like, there isn't another card in the game that's like as good. Sure, there's like cards that can do similar things. Like, there are other draw power cards, but like, just because a card is good and expensive and can do things that other cards can't doesn't mean it's broken. It doesn't mean that it needs to be banned. Some cards might be like that, but for what we're talking about here, no. Okay, see, now I need to go through this more. I think it usually goes without saying that special versions won't get reprinted. That's true. And by reprinted, I mean in future reprint sets where you get new printings of old cards, not literal reprints of entire sets. Like, another run of the first chapter should just be as originally released. I agree with that. Like, if we're talking about the context of like just reprinting the set as it is, then obviously you don't need to change that. We're talking about more like reprint sets. Special printing, sure. Any individual card, please God, no. My expanded thoughts are, if a card is really good, say Sad Beast, it could be banned, or listen, banning isn't, that's not, see, this is now turned into a whole different thing. That is not the answer to everything. I know I'm the guy who beats the, ban or eliminate a Whole New World drum. But like, if we're talking about from a market standpoint, Beast is that expensive because it's for 3 reasons. It's very good. It's very good in a highly represented color in the meta game, which is Steel, and it's a legendary. Those 3 things are why Beast is like a $50 card now. Listen, Lorcana Finance, someone else who understood the assignment. I got it. Hats off. This was fantastic. Chris says, no one ink is more powerful than another. It's all relative to the situation, the card draw, and your opponent. Even the most powerful popular decks lose. I mean, yeah, like, obviously, depending on the situation, like, anything can happen. You can brick, and your opponent who runs some, like, casual deck can draw insane, and there's nothing you can do about it, sure. But, like, you know, you look at Steel, like, Steel can play with any other color and can supplement any other color. Like, if we want to rank the colors, we can, because I think right now Steel just has a lot more versatile and better cards, right? Like, there's a reason why when you look at lists, like, Steel is all over the place. There should be a rotational format in Lorcana, and it should be announced sooner rather than later. So Fui, listen, you're right, but is this a hot take? You know what, it might be a hot take, because I've gotten pushback on this, that there should be a set rotation. Some people don't like it. We have comments here. It would be weird if there wasn't a rotation, but here's hoping it's soon. I want to hear more. Yeah. So, like, what's interesting is, like, this could be a hot take to certain people, because there's actually more people out there who don't want rotation than I thought there'd be. So, not bad by you. Oh, we got 3 takes. Oh, man. Beast should not be $50 now, dying that hill. It shouldn't be, but it is. That's the market. There's absolutely no reason for any card to be above $30, honestly. Welcome to TCGs. Another hill I'll die on. There are no broken cards or any bans to be imposed. The game is balanced. There are answers. Yes, I agree. I don't think, again, this is going back to the Whole New World thing. I don't think Whole New World's like this insanely broken card. I just don't think it should be used multiple times. Alright, so the last hot take here from Citizens of Lorcana. I'm gonna need some, like, ointment after this. Some aloe. Your characters are questing, not luring. I have a serious question. Do you play with people who call it luring? So here's the thing. This is a correct statement, but Citizens, here is the art of the take. If you want to be a hot takesman, you say that we say luring instead of questing. Even if you don't believe it, if you want to just have a hot take, that's what you want to say. Because no one's going to agree with that. Because that sounds ridiculous, right? Luring. I think we call it luring from now on. I think, you know what? I changed my hot take. I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to take a stand and call it luring until I forget to and call it questing anyway. Yeah, so, some of these takes weren't takes. They were just obvious statements. A lot of takes came down to card expensive, so sad. And a bunch of takes came down to a whole new world isn't a problem, so shut up and don't talk about it anymore. And that's fine, whatever. There were some scorchers. There were some scorchers in here that I know will make people upset. But sometimes the hot take is going to do that. Some of you understood the assignment. Some of you did not. Maybe we'll do this again next time.